Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. It is Monday, June 30th, 2025, Monday edition of Trading Trends. These shows are a little bit more fun with new all-time high editions. We're going into July 4 week. We say we're going to have a nice emotional upturn of momentum going into July 4, we thought, America's birthday party of new all-time highs. And here we are yet again, a nice thrust today, too. We'll take a look. Today's ETF edition. Let's begin. I hope everyone had a marvelous weekend. Let's see where the rotation went into today. Okay, so, wow, look at this guy. Well, there's a reason he is bulled up and he's holding the Brazil flag. We will find out why in a minute. But he is super bulled up and he's holding the Brazil flag. Wow, very interesting little graphic here, isn't it? So Brazil, Canada, and software all up about 2%. It was really between 1% to 3%, depending, but a lot of them average right in the mean there of about 2%. And nat gas collapsed 8%. We were talking about this one on Friday for my nat gas players. We said we don't like it. We said the momentum was going to be to the downside, especially as beta continues to get bid up. And boy, did they exit nat gas today. I saw kind of a funny meme, and I said, I know I'm not a total idiot because I stay away from natural gas. And I checked it, and I said, I wonder if it's down today. And it was down 7% early. So we'll take a look at the chart. And then let me save my breath here. New all-time highs for the Qs, SPY, industrials, communications, tech. There's more. There's Canada. There's a lot of strength in the market here. Your 401k and your grandmother's, etc., the highest it's ever been in human history as of 4 o'clock close today. Congratulations. Go get yourself an ice cream or two. Okay, so let us get into the markets here. Let us switch. Hello, greetings, all that stuff. All right, let me move the screen. A lot of we'll see. There's lots of things from the long side here. We will let me get my dashboard here. One sec. Oh, why is it doing? There we go. Capiche? Check. Someone. There we go. I got it. All right. So really fast before we get into the intraday action here, big movers lower. Discretionary, consumer discretionary did not join in the fun today. Tesla down 1.8 and 1.8%, and Amazon down 1.8%. I guess Bezos may have spent a little bit too much for that Venice wedding, but he had to sell some stock maybe. But down 1.8% was Amazon. So the XLY was not celebrating the all-time highs today. Apple, that pig, is up 2% today. There's definitely a catch-up trade there. They have a good announcement somewhere in the future. That thing's obviously going to rip. That's the laggard, obviously, if you even look at this opinion here, which is an amalgamation and combination of a lot of moving averages. The only one that is red and is a sell is Apple. That's below its moving averages. Every single other thing here, and these are the most traded indices today, and single stocks, single stocks and ETFs. Every single thing is rated to buy. I have to go down to the next one, bonds, which is the next one. So everything pretty much buy. United Health, and then Nike, small sell. So really the big catch-up trade, obviously Apple. If they have something good to say with Apple Intelligence at any point, you're going to see that thing rip, obviously, very easy, 15%, something like that very quickly. So that's the part in Apple. Everything else green here. Palantir ripped 4% today, still to that 136 level. Amazon down 1.8. We already covered that. Google down 1 and a third percent. Robinhood, a huge monster here, up 13%. It's amazing the premium and valuation we put on higher growth companies. Hood obviously has its hands in tech. We invest in tech. Tech always wins almost because tech is the future. You invest in tech. Hood is a great example of that. I saw the revenues contained by Hood versus Schwab, and it's vastly different. And yet the market cap, Hood is eclipsing Schwab. So it's amazing the valuation we give on high growth companies. And this is not many better stocks than Robinhood right now. I would argue it's almost challenging Palantir, to be honest. Meta looks great. I'd put that right there in the top tier, although a flattish day. AMD down 1%. Oracle up 4%. MicroStrategy, up 5%. And where is that always? Broadcom up 2%. And then Coinbase still consolidating. We said at least it's going to hit that track right there. I don't think it's going to continue marching. It actually did get as high as 372 today, and then they closed it red on a green day in the market. All right, so as I X that out, and we go into the intraday action here, we were actually kind of selling off here for much of the day, but just nothing major here. Down to about 1:30 p.m., 2:30 p.m. We found our low at 6:15 in SPY. We were trying to hold with VWAP, which was 6:16.30. And then boom, a real strong amount of buying in the 3 o'clock, especially the 3:30 hour, which is when we peaked, and we hit 619.22. That is your new all-time high in SPY. And then they did sell it off a little bit into the close, but still holding a VWAP of 617. So a very nice strong day of 50 bips in SPY. Leaders of the major indices was the Qs due to software. We'll take a look at that. The Qs were up 66 bips. As I zoom out here, we are still in bullish accumulation mode. I still see that due to its 15-day cycle ending right on or around June 8th. And that dollar amount, we had it, and we kind of increase and update these as we go. We had a 611 initial target at June 23rd when the date was struck. And now we're upping our estimates to closer to about 617, 618. We are overbought here. I want to point that out. For the first time since, you see here, it's barely by a shade, 70.03. Last I checked, that is above 70.00. And last time we had that was December 4th. And you could see it could just be for that instance, but that was a significant level of resistance going forward. We were talking about having old supports, old resistance be new support, and that's what we're hoping is a very significant level here of this around 600 marker. We'll see. The last time we were really overbought, we go back to last summer in July and also signaled a short-term top. So as I said, still seeing bullishness for about another week and a half or so. To me, the lid, of course, there's going to be some FOMO and animal spirits and people feeling good. Long weekend, more money in their wallet, et cetera, et cetera. Although the UUP, the dollar ETF, hit a new 52-week low today. So maybe smoke and mirrors there. I'll let you solve that one. But in terms of market appreciation and the K-girl on this sucker, it's back to where we want it to be. I still see it getting a little bit toppy right around 618. Market, of course, doesn't have to do what I tell it. And then around July 8th, right around that marker, I see us getting dragged down to about, that correction, that small drawdown will bring us to about 602. This will probably be tariff headlines or maybe bad early earnings, something like that from the banks. It doesn't really matter, but that'll be your buying opportunity as we continue to zip and the market continues to recover. It's 1 to 2% gain per month momentum, which is what it's looking like is happening. So all systems go here. Looks very, very nice. Let's get into the ETF movers of the day. If you have a ticker, there were some movers today. If we didn't cover something, I'm going to cover a lot of good stuff. If we don't cover it, put it in the chat and we'll cover it. Brazil, we saw that cracked out, roided out bull in the beginning of the show. And he was roided out and bulled up for Brazil. Brazil up 2.5% today, a huge move for Brazil. You see it. It is now contending with this is going back 9-month highs here going back to October. You see the 200-day moving average is still going lower. This was a joke in 2024. It really hit when the Fed cut in December. This thing was down 7%. They had their own issues, and this hit 22.25 in the ETF. We've risen all the way to 29 in Brazil. Your 200-day moving average is 26.5, and that serves you support there. Pretty crazy. So I like Brazil in terms of I think it's going to have a nice bullish accumulation for the next 2 weeks or so, but my upper target is 29 even. So I personally wouldn't chase it here. If you have some zig and some zags based on maybe some real currency movement and it zigs down to about 27.90, I would, I think it's worth to dabble there, maybe in some call spreads. But for right now, I think it's potentially going to be pretty range bound between, 29 and 26.5. Maybe not saying a lot, but I think it's going to create a bit of a rectangle here as it tries to consolidate and create a base. Strong above 50 RSI behavior since it's closed above the 200-day moving average. So it really is being constructive since April 24th. I do like the flows in it since about May 1st. Pretty strong closes, showing institutional buying. I would not personally chase at 29. And then next stop in terms of where the resistance is, you're going to have to tangle with this 30 half level. So that's my thoughts on Brazil, but quite a big move today in Brazil. Next one, the dollar hit a 52-week low today. There were a lot of nation ETFs that are big movers, multiple standard deviation Canada, a big mover up here, up 1 1/3%. That is a new 52-week high. However, also, hopefully you've been watching this enough now. You get some technical analysis by osmosis. When a new 52-week high, I want to see a bullish confirmation. This has to get, I want to see it like at least 70. I would love to see it 80. That means there's going to be more to it. Right here, it's scratching. This is not a a code or an error. It's a 65 RSI. So that typically for me, that's a quick fall. In the coming days, it just doesn't have a lot of strength behind it, in my opinion. A nice thrust up 1.3%. Complicated chart, obviously upward momentum. Maybe I shouldn't make too much of this divergence, but just doesn't give me a lot of warm fuzzies. Personally, I think this is going to try and put in some work here around 45.5. Congrats if you were in it today, but I don't think this holds. I think this visits 45 handle pretty soon, and then it tries to carve out a more solid recovery. But nevertheless, Canada 52-week high today is a 52-week high, just weak internals. Next, IGV, this baby up 1.7%. Software very strong today. Not quite a 52-week high. That was struck back in December at 110.84. It's very close. It's $1 or 1% away. This is, ServiceNow and everything else. These are the software names. I think it has a bullish week or so, like I said, with the market, but full valuation 110. So still not finding a lot of, great opportunities just yet in terms of chasing upside. And then I think corrections on this, or small corrections, will take you down to about 106, 107, probably 106, and that'll be your entry to get on board. But still more bullishness, but, some zig and zagging, potentially 108 and then 110 as it tries to eke close to those 52-week highs. All right. The losers today, there was only one in a multiple standard deviation fashion, and that was this pig, natural gas, down 7 and 0.6%. We were talking about it last week, and we said this thing wants to see a 15 handle. It looks weak. It looks like they want to sell it, especially as they bid up beta. And that's exactly what happened, down almost 8% today. Don't like it for the next week still. I think it maybe goes a little bit lower, but not by a ton. By maybe like 14.95 is actually what I have here, maybe 14.75, right around there. So from April, this I'm looking at the wick too. I think that breaks. This looks pretty weak to me. It has been for a while. The 200 moving average is starting now to look like significant resistance at 1690. Still rising though, so I want to give this crazy beast the benefit of the doubt, but down 8%. Wow. Bearishness for the next week. I do think it starts to, like I said, around 1475 base, and if you want to take a flyer, you can do it there, but you're going to have to be patient. So one multiple standard deviation mover lower today. That's your natural gas. Let's go over the top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. The best place to be from today plus the previous 4 days is semiconductors. Also, of course, July 4 obviously is a holiday on Friday, so nothing doing there. And I believe Thursday is a 1 o'clock close, going to be super light volume. Probably be people with beers in their hand by about 10:30 a.m. You may or may not be looking at one of them. Okay, so we're going to look at SMH, the best in all the neighborhood for the past week. These guys peaked last 7/11 at 283, and here we are taking a year with 52-week lows visited all the way down to 170. An ugly day with the SPY 52-week low. We hit 170, and now look at this brick wall here of 200 moving average of 240. I expect that to hold indefinitely, and here we are getting very, very, very close in the SMH to new 52-week highs. What do we say here? It's been the best place all week, up 6%. Similar to what I just said. All these charts are honestly looking the same here in case you couldn't, capture that, what I'm saying here. I like it in terms of bullishness for the next couple of days, but fully target I have right around 275. So I personally wouldn't chase it here. We'll see how much FOMO and animal spirits take over. This, though, it's always good to see semis, the quarterback of the strong. The buyers really did step in here at 235 in mid-May in the semis, and it continues to be the best area to be in this past week. Second best area to be this past week were the copper miners. So again, the semis were up 17 bips today, pretty much on similar for the copper miners, up 20. I didn't change this a lot from last week because the strength is still persistent and durable here. I like COPX similar again for the next week and a half. I think it's going to be bullish, but my upside target is right around, to be frank, 45 quarter. So it's about 20 cents from here. I don't think it gets outside of these highs. It really got aggressive on the 26th, 4 days ago, but now we're dealing with this resistance back from November at about that 46.70 level. I don't think it has what it takes, and then corrections will likely take you to about 43. So an opportunity likely coming in the future. So bullish week, zigs and zags, probably holds us 45 handle for a little bit. All right, and then next, Latin America been on fire. Yes, much of it because of Mexico, which we did not cover specifically, but Brazil, which we did cover. ILF, the Latin America 40, up 4.7%. Today up 1.7 of it. You can see this chart here, really kind of in purgatory up until April 23rd, and this thing's really carving out a nice recovery. The 200-day moving average is at 24.09. We're at 26.19 here, essentially all the way back to these September highs. Resistance is at 26.5 if we were trying to get to these 52-week highs, essentially 26.83 struck from last Augusto. Yeah, so of course this is going to be, resembling what we just had in the other charts. This one has a little bit more to go, not a ton. I would say about 26.5. This looks like it has a little bit more. A great looking candle here. Nice little upswing in momentum too, and moving average stabilization of 200-day moving average. Yeah, this probably has another. This looks like it continues to be strong. I would see more upside from the Latin America nations in the next nearly 2 weeks to about 26.5, or about another 2%. Depends on your spots, Mexico versus Brazil, but they haven't remained strong. All right, top 3 losers of the past 5 days. We're not going to harp on this too much, but this thing has been an absolute pig. Natural gas, your biggest, worst place to be. Sorry if you're long nat gas. It's been the worst place to be in the market for the last 5 days, down 9.5%. Oops, would help if I put up the chart. There it is. Yeah, it just looks ugly. I think a little bit lower by about 1 to 2%, and then it bases around there. But nat gas, the worst place to be. It's actually a tie in the past 5 days, worst place to be with volatility. So you could have absolutely crushed it selling nat gas calls. That would have been an easy payer. Selling VXX calls. Here's the VXX chart. Now you look at that 200-day moving average. That is a brick wall here as well at 51.03. It's just starting to decline about a penny a day. Volatility, as we hit all-time highs in SPY, you would expect this to at least, depends on the borrower, but you'd want to see 52-week lows out of this guy. It's not quite happening. This is the short-term futures ETN. So my call on this, reverse of S&P. See bearishness for this over the next pretty much till about on or around July 8th. And it looks like this wants to get towards a 46 handle, or where my cursor is, right about there. So essentially inside of those March lows is where I see this going, but another $2 or so lower for VXX. It's been your second worst place to be, actually a tie with natural gas. So these were the wrong trades to be long this past week. Of course, don't forget the escalation with Iran and everything last week, buying fear, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the heat wave had the bit of an impact on the barrel delivery on the natural gas. So horrible places to be. And then we just mentioned it, the third worst place to be, although not nearly as much, it's USO. So nat gas and volatility, the huge losers, down 9.5% apiece. Today, USO, flat day, down 20 bips essentially. But in the past 5 days, and of course, that's a massive handle. I'm not even covering that. I'm just talking about the last 5 days. It's down 4.5%, or nearly averaging a percent loss per day. USO, I think it's going to try and base. I think it has a couple of bearish days, but it tries to stick a fork right at around 72. Again, the 200-day moving average is 72.90. I think it goes beneath that and trades lower for a bit to the 50-day moving average. I still think, just with the bullishness of the market, I don't think folks step into buys just yet. Impressive, I'll say above 48 RSI trading since May 9th. That's impressive. There's not many periods I'm looking at right now where you can say that about oil straight through consecutively in terms of sessions. It's had that. So, I mean, this still isn't even quite the same. I know it seems like curve fitting, but 48 is better than doing this nonsense at 42. But so I'm seeing some strength there, but I still see a 72 handle in the cards here for USO. Top 3 absolute trades of the past 5 days. If you've been short natural gas, if you've been short volatility, and you've been long semis, you've absolutely been crushing this market. And I think a lot of people actually have that exact trio of trades on: short nat gas, short volatility, long semiconductors. That seems to be a pretty crowded trade, but it seems to be continuing to work right now. All right. Boopity, 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 bop. I will talk to y'all on Wednesday. It will be a full day, and we'll be here. We'll do the stocks edition. Woo, 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 woo.